What's up, everybody? I'm Chef Matty B, and today we are back at TA Appliances and Barbecues here in Kitchener. I'm very excited for this one because today we get to use one of my favorite kitchen appliances, the KitchenAid stand mixer, with one of my favorite KitchenAid stand mixer attachments being the pasta roller, because we are making some homemade pasta to turn to some cannelloni. It's gonna be delicious, so much fun, so easy, so let's get to it. So when it comes to making pasta, there's a number of different recipes out there that you can use. Some of them are just flour and water with some oil. Some of them use eggs. So for my basic pasta recipe, we're gonna use about 1.25 cups of flour. And to that, I'm gonna add 2 large eggs. And then about 1 tablespoon of oil. And then I use the paddle attachment for this. With a pasta dough, you want it to be a little flakier, so I'm not using the dough hook. I'm not looking to knead the pasta dough like you would with like a bread dough, so the paddle's kind of perfect for this. And I'm gonna start by mixing this on a speed 2. And as it starts coming together, I'm just gonna increase the speed a little bit as well. So I can tell already that this dough is a little on the dry side. You do want it to be crumbly, but when I squeeze it with my hand, it should stay together. Whereas right now it's kind of crumbling back apart. So I'm just gonna add a small splash of water. And that's looking a lot better. You can see it now stays together when I squeeze it. I can still break it apart, but it's not just automatically crumbling. That's exactly what we're looking for. And with this dough, you're not gonna knead it at all. You're gonna do all of the working of the dough with the pasta roller. So I'm just gonna collect up the dough together, pushing it into a ball with my hands. And with my dough collected like this, I can cover it in oil so that it doesn't dry out at all, and then wrap it in plastic wrap and let it rest at room temperature for about an hour. While our dough is resting, we can also start working on the filling for our cannelloni. For this one, I was gonna do nice and simple with just a little bit of shallot and garlic, sweat down with some spinach, and then I'm gonna mix that into ricotta, so it'll be nice and creamy with a lot of savoriness. It'll be super delicious. So we're gonna start with our pan on medium-high heat with a little bit of oil. Then I'm gonna add my shallots and garlic to the pan and start sweating those out. And while I'm sweating them, I like to add my salt now because that's gonna draw out a little bit of the water from the shallots and help them sweat out faster. And now that our shallots and garlic are just about done, we can add our baby spinach to that because we want this spinach to wilt down really nice and small. And that's looking perfect where it is. So I can turn it off, and I'm just gonna transfer it back over to the cutting board so I can cut up the spinach a little bit before we mix it into the ricotta. And because I'm doing a cannelloni filling with this, I'm gonna be using traditional ricotta where it's a little bit thicker. If you were doing like a ravioli or a tortellini filling, then you'd wanna get the extra creamy or extra smooth ricotta. That's gonna be a little bit softer, making for a better filling. But with cannelloni, we really need it to be able to stand up to the pasta sheets itself. And that cannelloni filling is tasting fantastic, so I'm gonna put it in the fridge. And now that our filling's made and our dough is rested, it's time for my favorite part of the process, which is rolling out the dough into the pasta sheet. I just find this so meditative, and especially when I'm using the KitchenAid rollers, it makes it so much easier to roll out than when you're using a hand crank pasta rolling machine. Honestly, the stand mixer and this attachment is probably my most used appliance in my entire kitchen, and it's a definite must for anybody that likes homemade pasta. So when I'm rolling out this dough, I'm gonna start by working with my hands and then rolling it out just thin enough that it can go through on a number 1. I'm gonna work it through the number 1 a couple of times to establish my shape and size. And then I'm gonna just start decreasing the roller size by 1 each time I pass it through until I get to a 5. At this point, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna fold the pasta over itself twice, and that's just gonna help align the gluten strands in the same direction so that we can have a nice chew to our pasta. And I'm gonna start back at 1 and continue working it through until I get to a number 8, and then that's gonna be our final thickness for our cannelloni. So next up, we gotta cut our rolled pasta sheet into individual sheets that we can use to make our cannelloni. So I like taking my pasta and squaring off the ends. And then I'm thinking about it, and if I'm gonna have like an inch of filling, then I wanna be able to wrap all the way around it twice. So probably around 8-ish inches is good. And that way we have plenty of pasta to work with. So now I'm just gonna do that to the rest of the sheet. So since we're making cannelloni, we actually want to cook our pasta sheets before we fill them, unlike you would with like a ravioli or tortellini. And so I have a pot of boiling water going, and then next to it I have a bowl of cold water, because once we're done boiling our noodles, we want to shock them in the cold water so that it doesn't overcook. Also, because they're fresh noodles, they're only going to take like 30 seconds to a minute to cook. And now it's time to assemble our cannelloni. So I'm just gonna take a pasta sheet and lay it out, make sure it's nice and flat. And then I'm gonna take a spoonful of our ricotta spinach mixture and lay it along one side. And we want these to be pretty nicely stuffed, so I'm gonna put a good amount there. And then I'm just gonna take the pasta and roll it over the ricotta. And then I have a small sheet pan here lined with parchment paper that I'm gonna place the finished cannelloni down with the seam side facing down. And then repeat that for the rest of the sheets. With our cannelloni rolled up now, I have my oven preheated to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm gonna drizzle them with a little bit of oil so that they get a little crispy on the outside, and I'm gonna bake them off for about 15 minutes until that ricotta is nice and warm and they start getting golden on top. These are looking perfect, but now it's time to plate them up and give it a try, see how it tastes. I just have a little bit of tomato sauce that I heated up as well that I can put over top of the cannellonis. And then of course, we have to finish it off with a little bit of shaved Parmesan. And I think that that right there looks fantastic. And now, as always, it's time to dig in and see how it tastes. That is so delicious. I love homemade pasta. I love making it, I love eating it. There's so many different things you can do with it. Like, these pasta sheets are perfect to turn into tortellini, ravioli, use the pasta cutter attachments, turn into spaghetti, fettuccine. The options are limitless, really. But I think cannelloni is like one of the best things that you can do. The pasta gets crispy on the outside, the sauce is nice and rich, the inside's super creamy. It's everything you could ever want in a dinner, and it's perfect, especially while it's nice and cold outside, to warm you up. I really mean it when I say that the KitchenAid stand mixer with the pasta roller attachment's like one of my favorite kitchen appliances, and everyone should have one. So if you want to learn more about the stand mixer or all of the attachments for it, then come on down and visit us at TA Appliances and Barbecues. And if you're enjoying these types of videos, then make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and let us know in the comments if you have any recipes that you want me to try. But that's all I got for now, so I'm going to take this and finish it, and we'll see you guys next time.